Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yes, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. Charlamagne the God, DJ Envy, Lauren LaRosa. Jess Hilarious is still on maternity leave. Salute to the good sister, Jess Hilarious.
Yes.
Now let's get into front page news. Morgan Woods, how are you?
I'm doing great. Y'all doing all right? It's Friday.
Yes.
Favorite day of the week. Yeah, so you know who else is doing okay, or at least it seems so? Those striking dock workers along the Gulf Coast and the East Coast. Well, they're headed back to work today. Sources say members of the International Longshoremen's Association and management groups have reached a tentative deal on wages. According to reports, the two sides are agreeing to extend the expired contract until January 15th. Now, 50,000 union members working from Maine to Texas walked off the job on Tuesday. The strike had led to uncertainty about moving supplies as the nation heads into the holiday season. Of course, getting those resources to those impacted by Hurricane Helene as well. Meanwhile, President Biden says there is progress being made in the recovery efforts from Hurricane Helene as those efforts continue. He made the comments yesterday in Valdosta, Georgia, adding the direct assistance program for hurricane victims will cost the U.S. billions of dollars. Let's hear more from Biden in regards to the aftermath of Hurricane Helene.
FEMA teams are literally knocking on doors to register folks so they can receive assistance, to buy what they urgently need. Congress has an obligation, it seems to me, to ensure that states have the resources they need.
So Biden toured the devastation in Georgia, where at least 33 people have died. Now, this comes as Georgia Governor Brian Kemp is slamming the Biden administration's efforts for not doing enough for the rural communities impacted by the storm that reportedly were not initially included in Biden's disaster declaration. Now, it's important to note that Hurricane Helene is now the deadliest storm to hit the mainland since Hurricane Katrina. Now, officials say 215 people have died due to the storm that slammed into the southeast a week ago. More than half of the deaths were in North Carolina, including at least 72 in Buncombe County, where flooding has devastated the area. The death toll will likely rise as hundreds remain missing. And meanwhile, hundreds are still without power across Georgia and the Carolinas.
Absolutely. So, and you talked about the strike, Morgan. The strike is suspended, right, until January. Right?
Yes, January 15th. So they're basically going to extend the expired contract that they have until January 15th. So that gets them through the election season. I'll say that.
Yeah, and they got a 62% pay raise. The tentative agreement includes a 62% pay raise over the next 6 years. I think they was looking for 77%. So, their strike worked.
Yeah.
A couple of days strike worked.
Shout out to them. I have a tenant in one of my mom's buildings who was out of work, and he thought he was going to be out of work for a while. So it's good to hear because he was trying to, figure out what he was going to do and how he's going to do that as kids too.
Morning, guys.
Well, peace. And I'm a little upset. Not a little upset, but yesterday we went to the grocery store and stocked up on groceries. Mm-hmm. So I spent all that money in the damn grocery store yesterday thinking that the strike was going to be lasting a little bit longer.
You heard me play the audio. Kathy Hochul, Governor Hochul said, this is not the time to be doing all of that. But you know what? At least you've been good.
Yeah, when white people tell me not to do something, that's when I go do it.
Now, Morgan, I was talking to my dad last night about this, and I don't know if you mentioned this, but they were saying that the government has the right to make people go to work when it comes to the railroads and the docks. So my dad was like, you ain't got to worry about it, because if it gets crazy, they're going to force them to go to work. So even though they can strike.
That is a possibility, but President Biden has actually said that he was not going to do that.
He wasn't going to do that.
Said that he wasn't going to initiate those type of executive orders. Yeah, it hasn't. Yeah, but we're moving on from it, at least until now, at least 2025. So that's a good thing. We got time for one more?
Yes.
All right, so the Biden administration can move forward with its student loan forgiveness plan. A federal judge in Georgia allowed a temporary restraining order on the plan to expire. This comes just weeks before the November presidential election, and the judge ruled Georgia lacked standing to sue against the relief plan and could not be the venue for the case. The lawsuit against the loan plan was brought by several Republican-led states: Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Missouri, North Dakota, and Ohio. So just like the longshoremen going back to work, there are a lot of people who are still reeling from student loan forgiveness and still trying to figure that part out. So, we'll keep you posted on that. At least that loan forgiveness plan can move forward. So that's your front page news for 6 a.m., 7 a.m. We'll get caught up with the presidential candidates, Trump and Harris. What are they doing?
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
HANV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRosa filling in for Jess. And let's get in some front page news. Now, congratulations to the Mets. They beat the Brewers last night for the wild card spot. They beat them 4-2. And in Thursday night football, the Falcons beat the Buccaneers 36-30. All right, what are we starting off with, Morgan?
Well, I really want to start off with what's going on with the presidential candidates. But first, just give me my money. Bank of America is suffering from an outage. Customers first reported problems accessing their accounts just before 1 p.m. on Eastern yesterday on Down Detector. There have been reports about not being able to log into accounts or account balances either not showing or displaying zero balances. A message saying accounts temporarily unavailable greets some customers who are able to log in either online or using the bank's app. Now, Bank of America has not said what is causing the issues, but of course, I will keep you posted. Hopefully that issue gets resolved before the weekend. Meanwhile, former President Trump, he's focusing on battleground states. He spoke at a rally in Saginaw, Michigan, reminding voters that mail-in voting has begun in several states. Trump also criticized the Biden-Harris administration for open borders, claiming immigrants have overrun cities like Springfield, Ohio, and Aurora, Colorado. Let's hear more from former President Trump at his rally in Michigan.
We have to be too big to rig. You know that. Too big to rig. Turn out and vote in record numbers. Too big to rig. You see what's happened with Springfield and Aurora. You see what happened, Springfield, Ohio. You see what's happening. Would you like to have that happen to you?
So the former president says he would revoke Haitian migrants' protected status and have them removed from Springfield, Ohio. He told News Nation, you have to remove the people and you have to bring them back to their own country. Trump and his running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, have made claims about Haitians eating pets. Now, state and city leaders have called those comments false and dangerous. Now, it also is important to note that Haitians living in the U.S., or there are some Haitians living in the U.S. under temporary protected status, which keeps them from being deported back to their nation, which is in turmoil. Meanwhile, former Republican Congresswoman... Say that again?
I said, you know what's interesting? It's amazing how much Donald Trump projects whatever he blames the other side for, it's their side that's actually doing. So when he says too big to rig, his party is the one that's trying to rig things. Like I spoke about this on the Daily Show last night. I literally spoke about, you know, how they're already planning to steal the election, you know, if they lose. So, yeah, he projects. Whatever he blames the other side for, their side is the one that's doing.
But it's easy for him to project, right? When you look at just some of the conversations that Trump and Vance has had, right? I looked at something yesterday, and they had 62 interviews since August compared to Harris, I think, only had 22. And when you talk about our culture and the core of the people that they speak to, well, Harris spoke to all the smoke, and which was a great interview. But besides that, when is Harris going to come out and start having these conversations, especially with her core, with the people that follow her? Well, how come she hasn't done the Breakfast Club? How come she hasn't done a lot of these other places where people do listen? I mean, we're syndicated in over 100 markets, and she hasn't come here yet. She hasn't come and did any of those big platforms in our genre, and it's effed up. Trump does his core. Trump did Aiden Ross. Trump did Dr. Phil. Trump did this one. Trump did that one. Where is Kamala Harris? Where you at?
That is a fact, but that also sounds personal.
No, not just that one. No, but not just our
But
platform.
that's a whole other conversation based on what I'm talking about, though. I'm just talking about the fact that he's accusing Democrats of potentially rigging the election, but they're the ones that are actually doing things right now actively to rig the election.
And I ain't gonna hold you, Charlamagne. You actually had amazing foresight in these when it comes to these type of things. So I wouldn't be surprised if exactly what you say ends up happening, because that's kind of how it's been in this election cycle. It's really it's been fascinating. I don't know. But meanwhile, former Republican Congresswoman Liz Chaney, she was on the campaign trail in Ripon, Wisconsin yesterday with Vice President Harris. Now, Chaney said Harris is standing in the breach at a critical moment in our nation's history and working to unite reasonable people from all across the political spectrum. Now, Harris called Chaney a true patriot. Let's take a listen to Liz Chaney and VP Harris in Wisconsin.
I tell you, I have never voted for a Democrat, but this year I am proudly casting my vote for Vice President Kamala Harris.
Liz Chaney really is a leader who puts country above party and above self, a true patriot, and it is my profound honor to have your support.
With that being said, Madam VP, pull up to the Breakfast Club.
It ain't got to be just the Breakfast Club. It could be $1 million worth of game. It could be Drink Champs. It could be any one of these platforms that we have.
Man, cut it out, man.
I mean, she did all the smoke. It could be any one of the platforms in these podcasts that are big. It could be anyone for our culture. It could be Steve Harvey. It could be anyone. But I want to hear her talk to her own people.
Yeah, I do agree. Like they are all focusing on battleground states, as they should be, because everybody says the election is going to come down to the battleground states. So I get it. Yeah. But to what Envy said, the VP does have to speak to her base, because I don't feel like she has her base completely locked up, you know. And she also doesn't have a lot of undecideds completely locked up, because a lot of folks still don't know her. So what I think happened is when she became the nominee and they put her at the top of the ticket, I think it energized the base, and a lot of people inside of the base were excited. The party was excited, but I don't know if that's translated outside of the party just yet.
All right. Well, switching gears, in the case of Tyre Nichols, all 3 Memphis police officers accused of killing Tyre Nichols have been found guilty on charges of witness tampering, but mixed verdicts on other charges. Now, Nichols' family lawyer, Antonio Ramanucci, civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, and Tyre Nichols' father, Rodney Wells, they spoke outside the courtroom following the verdict on Thursday. Here's what they had to say.
The remaining defendants have all been found guilty of 1 charge or more: obstruction, conspiracy, deprivation of rights causing bodily injury. This is justice for Tyre.
It is very important to note that all of them were pointing the fingers at each other. So all of them said that the others had something to do with the death of Tyre Nichols.
We are all elated. We're all very, very happy that these guys have been put in jail. This is a long time coming. And justice for Tyre. So we're just so very proud that all of them are going to jail today.
Officers Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith were charged with violating Nichols' civil rights by using excessive force. Bean and Smith were acquitted of civil rights charges, while Haley was acquitted of violating Nichols' civil rights causing death, but found guilty of violating his civil rights causing bodily injury. Bean, Haley, and Smith were on trial for the beating death of Nichols during a traffic stop in 2023. Former officers Desmond Mills and Emmett Martin, they accepted plea deals in exchange for their testimony. All 5 of the officers who were on the scene that night that Nichols died have been charged with second-degree murder in state court and have pled not guilty. A trial date in state court has not yet been set. But of course, you know, I'm going to watch out and I'm going to keep y'all updated. And the last and most important story, happy homecoming to my HBCU, Morgan State University Bears. We outside this weekend. Baltimore, what up?
That's a story. That was news.
Yeah, salute to all the HBCUs. Salute to Morgan State.
Why you hating? You on your HBCU tour? Come on, it's HBCU love here.
Yeah, it's love, but like most important is like Delaware State University. Like, let's not do that.
All the HBCUs are important. Salute to all the alumni. I know we sit here and we joke all the time.
What's the biggest and the best?
Hampton.
Let's not playing with us.
We're not gonna go there, but we just want to salute to all the HBCUs. For sure. You know, we support all of them.
It's not the most important story, but yes, HBCUs are important. Education is important.
Man,
homecoming is definitely important.
Would not be here without my HBCU.
There you go.
Facts, the national treasure, Morgan State. But that's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. You can follow me on social at Morgan Media, MorgynMedia. And for more news coverage, follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit us at BINnews.com. Happy Friday, y'all. Have a great weekend.
Enjoy your weekend. Don't get too drunk on the yard now.
I mean.
All right.
Wake that ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.